Birthers and Snatchers. These two enemies, as well as a few others, are considered to be some of the most dangerous enemies in all of GTFO. And typically, you wouldn't see either of these foes until at least B tier or C tier missions. But Ultra Rundown 5 decided that the second level of the rundown would be a great place to introduce them. This shouldn't be much of a problem for you, right? You're in Rundown 5 already, so this should just be a cakewalk for you and your squad. Hello everyone, Professor Scaly here, and welcome to the alternate R5A2 level guide. As always, we're going to be starting off with your loadout, and this time around, I recommend you bring along with you a bio tracker, a mine deployer, and then any 2 sentries of your choosing. And the reason why I recommend the bio tracker is not only is it an amazing tool that provides really valuable information to you and your teammates, but also in this level in particular, if you're going for the secondary objective, you're going to have to plunge the entire level into pitch black darkness very early on, which is going to make it pretty difficult to see. Combine that with the fact that some of these zones will have some pretty dense fog in them, and well, you're definitely going to want a bio tracker so you can more easily tell where enemies are, and if things do wake up, you'll be able to tag them and you're not going to get blindsided by them quite as easily. When it comes to the mine deployer, I'm recommending this as there are some alarm doors as well as a blood door in this level you're going to have to deal with. And while the mine deployer is not the best tool for one of the 2 alarms, it is really helpful for the other one, and of course there's that blood door, and there are also a few other situations in this level where you can make pretty good use of a couple of mines. And then finally, when it comes to those 2 sentries, I'm recommending these as we're going to want some extra firepower to help out in really any situation where we have to deal with a lot of enemies. The second alarm door in the level where mines aren't that helpful, sentries are great for, as it's a nice one-way funnel we can make, so sentries are perfect for it. As for the type of sentries you want to bring, it's really up to you and your teammates. I find that burst sentries work best for this level, but also at the same time burst sentries work best for almost every single level of them since they're so universal. So if you want to, you can take 2 burst sentries or maybe 1 burst sentry and then maybe something like an auto sentry or a shotgun sentry. Results will vary a little bit depending on what type of sentries you bring, but as long as you're positioning them properly, you really shouldn't have too much of an issue no matter the sentry combination that you bring along with you. Dropping down into level, you'll see that your main objective is to retrieve the cargo crate, which will always be located inside zone 20, and then bring it back to extraction with you. And you and your teammates are going to be starting off inside zone 15. In here, there will never be any enemies for you to deal with, but there will be a few resources to collect, as well as your very first bulkhead key, which you're going to need that because also inside the zone is your bulkhead door control and doors to your main and secondary objectives. So if you are someone who's only interested in watching the main objective portion of this guide, feel free to skip to the timestamp that you see on screen, because there we will continue to talk about Zone 16 and everything you need to do to get to that cargo crate. As for everybody else, we're going to be doing the scan for our secondary objective and heading over to the bulkhead door to Zone 131. This door does not have a scan or anything tied to it, so you can just go over to it, open it up, and head right on inside. And upon entering into Zone 131, you'll see that your secondary objective is to find a specific terminal and put a command into it. And that terminal is always going to be located inside the second room of Zone 131 itself. So along the way there, you're going to have to deal with a few regular strikers and shooters. There will also be some resources for you to collect, so keep an eye out for them. And once you make your way into the second room and you have fully cleared it out, you're then going to go over to the southern end of it where the terminal will always be located at, hop onto it, and then just put the reroute power command into the terminal. Once you do it, a full team scan will appear, and once you finish a full team scan, your secondary objective is completed. But there's a little bit more to it than just that. Shortly after that full team scan finishes, a permanent blackout is going to occur which will flood the entire level in pitch black darkness. The northern security door to Zone 132 is also going to unlock, so you'll gain access to it. But before you go up there, a single Snatcher is going to be spawning into the west of you, so what you're going to want to do is head over to the western side of the room near that door and just wait for the Snatcher to come to you. Once it shows up, just simply pump it full of lead, and once it is dead, you can then progress further into the level. But before you head into Zone 132, I would recommend what you do is shut that door to the west of you and place a mine on it, because inside Zone 132, it's going to be one long rectangular room, and there's going to be a few regular strikers or shooters, as well as 2 scouts in it. So in case you and your teammates goof and you wake up one or both of the scouts, having that western door shut and mined will make it that a fair amount of the enemies that spawn in from the scout screams will just immediately blow up, and you don't have to worry about getting pincered by a ton of enemies from both directions. So go over there, shut the door, mine it, and then just go into the room and either just melee kill every single one of the enemies, or just sneak your way through and look for the second bulkhead key, which will always be in that room. And once you have it, you can then head back out, go into zone 15 again, then go to the door control, plug it in, and do the scan for your main objective, and that will unlock the security door to zone 16. Now, when it comes to that security door to zone 16, you're going to have to deal with a class 2 cluster alarm before you can open it up. And as you can see with this map overlay, there will either be 1 or 2 different possible spawn locations for enemies, depending on whether or not you did the secondary objective. No matter what though, as long as both of the doors that lead into your room are left shut, enemies will only ever go for this door right here. So go on ahead and place a mine on the door, as well as 1 or even both of your sentries in the room with you facing towards that door, and you should be good. Once everything is set up, activate the alarm, get to work on the scans, and once everything has been taken care of, you can then pack up your sentries and head into zone 16. Now when it comes to zone 16 itself, this is going to be just one big donut shaped room, and there will be a fair amount of regular strikers and shooters in here, and since there are cocoons all over the ceiling, this is also going to be a respawn zone. So you're going to want to make your way through here, doing with every single one of the enemies and keep an eye out for those resources, and then you'll be able to notice that there's a total of 3 different security doors. One to the south to zone 18, one to the west to zone 17, and one to the north up to zone 19. Now ultimately, you need to head up to the north to get to your cargo. However, that security door is locked and requires a color keycard in order to open it up. That keycard, as you probably already guessed, will always be located either inside zone 17 or zone 18. So before you start opening up security doors randomly, you're going to want to hop onto a nearby terminal. The one in this zone is up in the northwest corner, and use it to figure out which one of those 2 zones your color keycard is in. Then once you know, you can head over to that respective security door, and both of these are going to be blood doors, so no matter where you're heading, you're going to have to deal with that. So place a mine or 2 on the blood door, maybe place on both of your sentries, then just open it up, fall back a bit, and deal with every single one of the enemies. Once everything is dead, you can then either all 4 head together into the next zone as a team, or 3 of you can head in there and 1 person can stay out here and block spawns. I know this has always been a little bit of a heated conversation in the community on whether blocking spawns is a strategical thing or it's a scummy, cheesy move, and my honest opinion when it comes to it is it's really just up to you and your teammates. There are some levels where I feel like blocking spawns sort of defeats the purpose of the level and you really shouldn't do it because it ruins the experience. But there's also some levels where I feel like the respawn zone, while it has a purpose, it's really not that big of a deal, especially in a situation like this where you're just simply clearing out a room again, and you need to clear out again anyway for the upcoming future. So if somebody on your team is willing and they're perfectly fine with just staying out here AFK for a bit while the other 3 people explore the next zone, then by all means go on ahead. If you don't want to do that though, and all 4 of you want to head in there, then you can do that too. Just realize that when you come back out into zone 16 after getting that color keycard, you are going to want to fully clear it out again, otherwise it's going to become a problem a little bit later. Either way though, once you've gone into zone 17 or 18, you clear out all the enemies, you grab your resources and got on that color keycard, head back onto zone 16. If you didn't block spawns, clear out all the enemies once again, then go to the northern end where you'll be able to find that security door to zone 19, plug your keycard in, and then do the full team scan tied to the door. And zone 19 is going to be one big room. In here, there'll be a few regular strikers and shooters, as well as a single scout patrolling about, so be a little bit cautious of her. And you'll also be able to find your security door to zone 20 at the northern end of it, as well as the bulkhead door to the overload objective over on the eastern side. However, this bulkhead door does not have a door control and is currently under lockdown. You actually won't be able to open up this door until after you have picked up the cargo itself. So once you go throughout this area and clear all the enemies and grab the resources, you're then going to want to set up some defenses, as that security door to zone 20 is going to have a class 3 cluster alarm tied to it. And as you can see with the map overlay, there are a few different locations enemies can spawn from. There are technically 3, but you're not opening up both of those blood doors, so really you only get 2 of the 3. Either way though, it doesn't really change anything up. There aren't any doors you can actually shut and mine during this alarm, so we're just going to be placing both of our sentries on the bridge that's in the room. The exact positioning of the sentries will vary depending on what type of sentries you brought in with you. And that's basically it. Once you got everything set up, activate the alarm, get to work on the scans, and if you want to, have one person who just stays on that bridge and just defends with the sentries while the other 3 people focuses on the scans. Once you have finished this alarm and all the enemies are dead, you can pack up your sentries, and then you can open up the security door and head into zone 20. Now in here, there will be a few regular strikers and shooters, there are going to be even more resources for you to collect, and there will be your cargo crate. However, when you pick up that cargo, it is going to initiate an extraction alarm that will spawn in a few regular strikers and shooters every so often, and is going to cause your extraction scan to appear back at the beginning of the level, but is also going to unlock the overload door to zone 302. Now, if you're doing a main objective only run, this isn't really that big of a deal because you're clearly going to be avoiding that. So all you really need to do is pick up the cargo crate and then make your way back to the beginning of the level. However, if all 4 of you went into zone 20, then that respawn room is back, so you're going to want to quickly send some people out there to deal with it, and then just make sure at all times somebody is sitting inside zone 19 so the respawn room does not actually respawn. Then you can just pick up the cargo and just walk your way back to extraction. If you're going for the overload objective though, you're going to basically be doing the same thing, as you want to make sure the respawn room is cleared out, but you're going to be leaving your sentries on that bridge just like you did for the previous alarm. The reason for that is because we want to have some protection from behind while we're dealing with the overload objective, and having both of your sentries on that bridge, as well as maybe a few explosive mines, is all the protection you could ever ask for. Once you got everything set up and you and your teammates are good to go, one person is going to pick up the cargo, and if you're doing main only, you're just going back to extraction and holding out there for a bit and getting the scan to 100% and you're done. Or if you're going for the overload objective, you take the cargo out, you drop it off at the bridge, and then all of you go to the eastern side to that bulkhead door to 302 and open it up. And once you open it up, you can get started on the overload objective, which the overload objective itself is quite simple. There will be a hard drive somewhere in the room, as zone 302 is just one big open room. However, inside of that area, there's going to be a birther and a ton of baby strikers who are all automatically going to wake up shortly after that door opens up. So what I recommend you do is just stay outside in zone 19 and let all those baby strikers come out to you first and just kill off every single one of them, and then you can either rush into the zone and deal with the birther or wait for her to rush out and come to you. If you have a C-foam grenade, it's really easy to deal with her. I will typically just wait for her to rush out, or at least get near the entrance and then just rush in and C-foam her. If you don't have a C-foam grenade, not that big of a deal. Just have 1 or 2 people focus on the babies as she spawns them in, while the other people focus on shooting her tumors and actually killing her, and that's really all there is to it. Once all the baby strikers and the birther are dead, you could just have 1, 2, or 3 people go into zone 302 and look around for either the terminal or that hard drive, and then once you find it, just simply pick it up, while one person just makes sure they stay outside in zone 19 the entire time to ensure that once again the respawn zone does not wake up. Then once you got the hard drive, your overload objective is completed, and you just have to regroup, grab that cargo, and take it all the way back to the beginning into zone 15, drop it off in the extraction scan, and then just hold out there for a little bit. There's no additional extraction alarm that initiates once you drop the cargo into it, so you're just dealing with a few enemies every so often, and once you get that scan all the way up to 100%, you are done and you have completed alternate R5A2. And that's all there is to it. Alternate R5A2 is a fairly short and simple level, despite having 2 optional objectives as well as some fairly powerful enemies in it. Although I guess at the end of the day it is an A tier mission, so we can't be throwing too much at players quite yet. However, something we can throw plenty of at players would be artifacts. The original R5A2 was known for being one of, if not the best level to farm artifacts and boosters in. And while not as bountiful in this version, alternate R5A2 is still a great level to play every so often if you're looking to get some decent boosters to assist you in some of the more difficult levels of the rundown. As always though, thank you for watching this video all the way to the very end. I do hope that it was able to provide you with some assistance in beating this level. If you have any tips or tricks for this level that you want to share, any questions for me, or you just have something in general that you would like to say, please do let me know down in the comments. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more from me, and if you want to join my lovely community, there's a link to my Discord down in the description, as well as some other links you might be interested in. Among those links being one to the official GTFO merch store, which, as always, I highly recommend you check out if you're a fellow GTFO enthusiast and you're looking to pick up some sweet merch. Until next time, make sure you stay hydrated, especially those of you who are experiencing a really hot summer right now, and hopefully, I will see all you wonderful people in the next video.